Hello everybody and welcome back to my Tribulations of the Mage devlog series. And for this devlog, I'm going to be going over some of the fixes I made and as what I have planned, because as you know, the first level of Tribulations of the Mage is up on itch.io. That's available for download. And I have gotten some feedback, and now I'm just kind of working to implement the feedback. So one of the main things I got fixed was that there was a problem where the player could target lock onto walls, or not onto walls, or through walls, or the target. Yeah, basically, yeah, the target lock would go through walls and go to enemies, and it'd just be confusing, or we get maybe stuck on objects. And I was able to fix that. So let me just go over how I did that. So in the targeting system, what I did was that I added a line of sight. See where is it? Yeah, a line of sight check, which just does a line trace by channel, and if if there's a hit, and then if it's obviously not visible, just remove the target locked. And before this, I was experimenting with a multi-sphere or line trace, and that would give me an array of objects, and I would just lock onto the enemy, but that didn't really work well. So I just went with this line of sight check, and then with this line of sight check, it's checked in the event tick, and if the target's locked, it just does that check. And I also got to set the let's see, I was you set the line traces invisible to kind of demonstrate that a little bit. Here we go. So as you can see, here's the normal, basically targeting thing, or target lock, and as you can see, does not, it doesn't work on the walls anymore because of that line of sight, and you kind of see that line trace as well, so it just breaks. So I just go on the enemy, and then as you can see, when I ran into a corner, it stopped working, and I can't do it anymore. So that's one of the problems fixed. And I was happy I was able to get that fixed, and I'll probably work a little bit more on the camera. But yeah, that's just the main thing. You can no longer target enemies through the walls, so that's a bug that's been officially fixed as of right now. Let me just, wrong thing. And then the next thing I was going to work on was the combat, because I didn't feel too happy with some of it. So let me just go into the skeleton. So I just have the skeleton and then the spectre here for now. So one of the things I thought of to make the combat better was to add a more of a posture system. And what the posture system would do was that, hang on. So what the posture system would do was that it would, obviously it would be a float variable that was attached to the enemies, and if their posture was up, they wouldn't be stunned by the player attacks. But if it was lower, then, or if it was broken, then it would get stunned. As you can see right here, it has that stunned. But obviously if they have posture, they don't get stunned by attacks, and they can just keep on attacking. And kind of my, I guess, thoughts of that is that as I was kind of thinking about it, I kind of made, I guess I had the feeling that I didn't want every enemy to have posture. I just wanted, certain enemies. So like for example, the spectre wouldn't have posture, but honestly an armored enemy like the skeleton warrior or the knight would have posture. And I also thought that mostly posture would just be a boss only thing. But I was just, as I was thinking of how to make the combat better, I found adding posture. The enemies themselves have stamina, but that's mostly just used for blocking. Am I even looking? Yeah, that's just mostly used for blocking, and that it kind of does the same thing. So I just thought of adding a posture system, but then when I actually implemented it, it kind of looked, at least for me, it looked a little bit awkward for enemies just to kind of eat attacks. So another thing I was working on was to work on the timings and the delays and the I guess strafing chances for the enemies to make them maybe more attack more and just try to get to the root of having the AI interact more in combat. So right now I'm just working on the behavior tree and maybe trying to do some tweaks to the behavior to make it better, or just changing the attack animation speeds, etc., stuff like that. I'm currently working on that, and like I said, I'm just trying to make a decision on, should I even have a posture for regular enemies? Should I maybe even lower the player stamina lower the player stamina, or make the player's attack use more stamina? Because at the moment, let's see if it's here. Yeah, right here. At the moment, it only takes 10 stamina, and the player has let's see. I think what I said to was 80. Yeah, and the player has 80 stamina. So I was just thinking of maybe even lowering that. But like I said, I'm just gonna do a lot of testing, trying to get, like I said, maybe a balance between lowering player stamina and then changing the attacking behavior for enemies. But that's what I'm currently working on right now. Just to reiterate, I had the target lock fixed, and right now I'm just working on basic combat for the enemies. So thank you for watching, and I'll talk to you in the next video.